in the amount of $52,525.
Tiffany will review those. Come back to the recommendation. Next item on the agenda is the project review expenses. Christopher Burke, $9,519.05.
Move for approval.
I'll second it. Move to second it. Further discussion? Those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carried. Next is drain maintenance expenses for a total of $750.
Move to approve drain maintenance expenses.
Second.
Move to second. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carried. We need a motion to accept the auditor's report.
Move to approve the auditor's report, acceptance of.
Second.
Move to second. Further discussion? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Old business major plat, DPR 516, BYN Consulting. On the ground regulated drain.
This is for S&J Investments. Is your engineer here? No. Okay.
BYN Consulting, is that you?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
me.
thank you.
Good morning.
All right. Name and address of your firm.
Yeah, it's Jason Riggin, 9125 Doe Spring Drive, DOE Spring Drive, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46278.
Thank you.
The site that I purchased and trying to develop, it's 4.23 acres on Highway 136 in between Brownsburg and Claremont. Just east of County Road 1000. Is 4.23 acres. It's been a challenging site. It is extremely flat, has a ditch line, NDOT ditch line along the front of it. We've received approval from NDOT to drain into the ditch line. Working with Burke, we have met the county's requirements to move forward. The general notes or general conditions, we agree wholeheartedly to all of them as listed.
So, I
This
see,
is one that we continued. They requested a continuance for 90 days to get NDOT approval, which they have now. And so I know Burke has been working with the engineer who's from
He's from South Bend.
South Bend
Or
area.
Elkhart, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, yeah, Elkhart. So we're good on preliminary. We're good there. I think that Mr. Riggins is going to request final approval.
I
I didn't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that's what he's wanting to do.
preliminary and final at this time.
That's what he's wanting.
Do them separately, sir.
They filed it separately, so we have to do them separately. We can give preliminary approval separately, then you can discuss final approval.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion. The Surveyor's Office is recommending preliminary approval. Chair will entertain a motion to that effect.
I'll make that motion for preliminary approval on DPR 516.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? They're not opposed. Okay, now final approval. Dave, we need to hear from you on that.
I'm not ready to recommend for final yet. There's still some things that probably need to be worked out from an engineering perspective.
Okay.
But I know Mr. Riggins would like the opportunity to request approval from you for final. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Our understanding is the only thing that we had not provided, and through conversations with Burke, we were under the impression we didn't have to provide, since the site was flat, was the detailed profiles. Other than that, all of Burke's recommendations for secondary have been met with the plan sets and information we've provided to date. The inlet calculations have been included in the original. The emergency routing plans are provided with sheet 3.3. We were using infiltration trenches with perforated pipe. The inlets really are redundant. There's no need to calculate inlet capacity, and the trench will provide more capacity than what is required or needed. Our control structures are the overflow for the stormwater ponds. We have inlets at top of the control structures that are above the 100 and the 24-year stage.
Could we hear from Burke?
Yes.
Could we hear from you, please?
Mr. Regan's right, all the preliminary stuff is met. We still do have some outstanding things that we'd like to see in addition for the secondary. There's, like you mentioned, the profiles, the pipe profiles to ensure that the pipes are working correctly. And then also there's a few outstanding elevations for the emergency routing that we'd like to see. And
I have in my possession here, matter of fact, Dale has it on the profiles. We have those available, if that would make a difference.
We need time to
Okay.
digest,
So,
and review.
are
I
you
hate to
more
put him off,
comfortable
but
Postponing the
prepared.
final approval until these issues that you,
we prefer to see the updated emergency routing
Okay.
plan.
Okay.
Like that.
well, I think it's a perfunctory exercise, but I think if we work with Burke, I think it'll work out.
I move we continue final for DPR 516.
Second.
Moving second, those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, they're not opposed. You'll be
Can we,
good.
can we have it at our next meeting then, so that he can know?
It's probably gonna be the November meeting. Yeah,
November 12th.
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry for the delay. I know you're in a very, very challenging place.
Like I said, we feel that we provided based off of our conversations, but thank you very much.
DPR 516, they're recommending continuance. Chair will entertain a motion for continuance. Oh, we already did that. Okay, I'm sorry. S614, dot list and truck parking, recommending continuance there as well. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to continue S-6-24 in dot.
All second, it's moved and seconded for further discussion. Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, motion carries. New business, minor plat, MIP 1187 Dale Cruz.
Hey, good morning, I'm Dale Cruz, Cruz Consulting, 7384, Business Center Drive in Avon. And I'm here this morning on behalf of the owner of this property, who is Mike Ballmer. It's this property right here. It's in North Salem. It's on the south end, basically the south end of North Salem. This is a house and a detached garage and a barn. And the petition in front of you is for us to divide this lot into two and create a division line basically right here. So this detached garage would go with the house and this pole barn would go with the southern lot. Mike has a desire to build a house on this property right here. So the petition in front of you this morning is for requested approval for a 2-lot minor plat, 1 lot to the north and 1 lot to the south.
Pretty easy, it's all municipal. You have water and sewer municipal, right?
Yes, yep.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Move for approval, preliminary and final. Is that right?
Second.
Yeah.
I'll second it. Oh, I'm sorry. Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, or not opposed, motion carries. Next, MIP 1188, Dale Cruz again.
Again, I'm Dale Cruz, Cruz Consulting, 7384 Business Center Drive in Avon.
This is just north of the old Rainbow Motel on 36 west of town here. That, you know where that's at.
There's a Rainbow, 36 County Road 325 West. I'm actually here this morning on behalf of the proposed buyer of this property. This is the property here in question. And the idea for this plat is a three-lot minor plat. The one lot would consist of the existing home and basically the grass. It's almost outlined. It's not cooperating very well.
Here, use this one.
So one lot would be the existing home, which basically will follow this grass line. And then the other two lots would be, there'd be a division line drawn basically right here. There'd be a lot here that the proposed buyer likes to build their own residence on. And then a vacant lot here, a speculative lot here that would be for sale, just as a speculative lot for sale. There's a creek right here that the majority of this ground drains to, and there's an existing pond right here that the back section of this property drains to, and then it drains through. There's property up here that drains into the pond, continues to drain south into this pond, and then continues south from there. Just to recap, the proposal in front of you is for approval of a 3-lot minor plat, 1 existing house, and 2 vacant lots to potentially build 2 homes on at some point.
There'll be a right of way out to 325 West, Dale.
Sorry?
There'll be a right of way for a driveway.
You're right there. So we're gonna come in right here with 1 driveway and then branch off to this lot and then carry on back to the other one.
Superior's office is recommending preliminary and final approval, and it is not on a regulated drain. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, MIP 1189. It's recommended for continuance. Chair will entertain a motion for continuance.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Those in favor of the motion for continuance, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries.
So can I interrupt for a second, please? Can, the one that you just continued, can I give you guys an update on where we're at with that one? This is the one that I came to with you 2 weeks ago, and Mike Roberts was here also 2 weeks ago. And so I thought we left out of here with direction to coordinate with Mike and I to coordinate on getting connected into the legal drain tile. So I just thought I'd give you an update of where we're at on that, since Mike's here. So Mike and I have communicated, and it's right here. So this was a 2-lot plat. If you remember, there was a lot right here. Mr. Roberts owns this property right here, and then there's a second lot that's up here to the north. And then the question was, how do we get this lot connected into that legal drain tile? So where we're at with it, Mike called the pipeline company. There's 2 pipelines that run parallel right here in this, across the back of this, back of the property right here. So Mike called in to have the pipelines located. He told me this morning that that's been done. So Mike agreed to allow us onto his property to locate these trees right here, so we can minimize or hopefully avoid minimize damage to trees, or hopefully avoid all of the trees to get to the tile. I don't know the answer to that yet, and because I wasn't going to do any of the surveying work until he had the pipelines located, which I now know that has happened. The other thing that we're going to do is there's a riser right here that's lets us get into the tile. So we are going to have a swimming pool delivery truck bring us a load of water and flush water into the tile with dye in it to see how long it takes us to get to the detention pond that's at the northern end of the Cadence, and I don't know the other name of the other neighborhood right here. So this tile now, originally this tile went all the way to I-74, 14,000 feet. Now we have tile, there's a few hundred feet of tile before it opens up into an open ditch or to a pond. So we're gonna figure out the functionality of that tile from there to there. I don't have the answer to that yet, so I just wanted to let you know that that's where we're headed with this one. So
Thanks for that.
it's taking some time.
Jack, you want to be heard?
Yeah, to my knowledge, this was never rebuilt from here on. And this pipe goes underneath this barn right here. They built this barn right on top of the pipe. And it goes diagonally up through there. Where's Mike's place?
To the north.
Yeah, this is the barn that pipe's sitting on.
Yes.
And those two pipes are pretty close, and the right-of-way to the west was 32 feet from the center of those two pipes. And Dale, what's Marathon's view of you crossing two pipes, which you have to go in between them with your outlet?
I don't want to do that. I want to work out with my county not to do, I want to avoid doing that to work out with Mike's solution to not to do that.
To get through Mike's property is 110 feet outside of the right-of-way, because they're not gonna let you cross into their right-of-way.
I don't know that we are outside the right of way. And that's what I'm saying.
110
That's why we've
110
asked for
feet.
continuance to
At
sort all of
110
that
feet,
out.
you would be.
I don't know what 110 feet even means. I don't even know. Like, I
At
don't
an
know.
angle through Mike's property to get to that drain on Mike's property,
I can work in the legal drain from this property in the legal drain to get to the tile. All I'm trying to do is to work out with him the details on how to do that. That's all. There's easement there, and the legal drain easement gets onto Bex's property right here. I'm
that
certain
could
of
be true.
I know, it is true.
You're not gonna be able to get into the Marathon pipeline right-of-way. And that's gonna put you pretty far down in Mike's property.
And you could be right. I'm just here to tell you that we're trying to sort through all that. That's the
Sure.
goal, is to
Sure.
get sorted through all those details.
That's what I found out prior, so.
Well, Dale, did you and Jack and Mike discuss the county highways part in this of taking the water maybe across the road and then south?
I don't think the water wants to go, like, I think that's fighting Mother Nature. There's a ditch here that, there are some trees right in that area, right, it starts about right there and it goes down about in there, where those trees are directly in the ditch. These trees right here, I'm certain John Ayers will want removed from the road right away when the plat's approved. But the way the property naturally drains, I think it will be difficult to turn the water and run it under the road to the ditch on the other side of the road.
Well, keep us apprised.
I will.
So the highway department eventually is going to regrade the ditch on at least the west side of the road, because we have now a structure here that once we put this structure in down to this pond, the goal was for the highway department to regrade this so Reed's Estates can have a little bit of
I
drainage.
think they already got that done.
Oh, they have? Okay. John didn't tell me they had done that. So that's good news. They were also gonna regrade, if the commissioners will remember, there was a gentleman who came a lot and even called Denny and maybe some of you about his house. And John was gonna regrade it to the west to allow him to drain that. So that just gives you an FYI. And lastly, an FYI, NDOT is now replacing the pipe under I-74, which we found out was actually tilted the wrong way. So that's being fixed. So, okay, move on.
Okay, thanks, Dale, and thanks, Dave. Mike, you have something?
Yes, a whole lot. Tiffany asked,
Mike, step forward here if you would, please.
Tiffany asked us to get together and get this solved by Friday.
I asked that they make connections so that he could come out there by
So I
Friday.
got a phone call from Dale on, he wanted to send two guys out to take some shots. That's the last I heard of that. I then got Jack to come out and showed him exactly why they couldn't get to that tie-in. And we looked at every avenue to try to get it to where it would go in and he could tie into the Quinn's Ditch. There's no way to tie into the Quinn's Ditch on my property. No way. There's no the easement from the pipeline won't allow them to come in there. The trees that I have in there, I have trees that are under, that I've posted with the DNR. that 90-foot spread they gotta have on them, so I don't want them cutting in any trees. So I'm not gonna let them dig on my property at all. So, and I was trying to get, some more information. I couldn't get it. I did call to the railroad. I talked to Marathon Pipeline. They sent the guy out. I had all of the flags flagged. Then I did an easement. It was 32 feet from the center. Then I called,
50 feet from the center plot.
the center of the two pipes, okay, which gets it into my tree line completely. So in order for him to even get close to tying in, he would have to come all the way into my property and dig. At least, like Jack said, 100 feet. And when I talked to Jack, said, there's no way we could get this done. There's no way they could get that tie-in. So, I respect you and what you're trying to do, but it ain't gonna happen on my property.
So Dave, is there a legal drain that crosses Mike's property?
Yes.
And where's the 75 feet then?
Yeah, we've shown it. If I can find it again. 700, 900.
It's highlighted.
This isn't quite right. The GIS isn't quite correct, but it's close enough. The Quinn goes through here. And then it extends onto this lot,
You see it.
just a little bit. And so the 75-foot easement is on both sides of the location of that tile.
So Mike, are you disputing the 75-foot easement on the legal drain?
No, what is an easement if it's tearing up all of the property and the what I'm saying is, when Jack and I walked through it, there was no way they could get to that easement, to get to that tile without destroying all of my property, 120-some feet of it. The pipeline, the Quinn's Ditch, I've got a few pictures of the Quinn's Ditch when they went through the pipeline. The pipeline came through there and they had a bad spot in the pipe. So they had to pad weld it. In order to pad weld it, when they dug up my Quinn's Ditch. So they had to put a new piece of, and that's when
Okay,
I
hold on a
brought
minute,
Tiffany
hold on a
out.
minute, hold on. Did you guys know that they did that?
Mike called me and I shut the
Okay.
pipeline down.
Shut them down, shut the pipeline down. And then they put a new 12-inch pipe in it with buffers and all kinds of stuff. Brought it out, gave me 2 indications of where the 2 pipes were. And then put me a sign in to where the Quinn's Ditch is actually at now. In order for them to get anywhere close to tying into that, outside the zone of the Marathon, they'd have to come through my trees, my property, to a property about 100 and some feet.
I haven't looked at it. Are your trees in the easement?
Yes, the tree would be in the easement. The DNR is registered that white oak tree to have a root base that spreads 90 feet. That 90 feet gets all the way to the Quinn's Ditch.
Greg, do we have a legal issue here?
I don't know where our easement is. Simply put, we have the right to use our easement.
Well, if Mike has registered this tree with
Right.
whatever, can we preempt that?
I don't know anything about registering a
I
tree.
don't either.
I don't know. With who?
Yeah, we registered it,
DNR?
DNR,
You can register a tree with DNR
sure can,
to preserve it or what?
preserve it.
Is that DNR rule?
Yeah, that's well, the root system would go clear to the Quinn's Ditch.
No, I'm not asking that. I don't know anything about this registering a tree. What does that do when you
It protects it
you
from
register?
being damaged, and
But DNR has jurisdiction over that tree?
I have no idea. We're early into this registration too. My wife did it.
I've
You
never
can
heard
look
that.
into it, or
I'm not saying it's true, I've just never heard it. You have the right to use your easement. I mean, it's kind of simple as that. You have a legal easement. 75 feet from the pipe.
Well, and we can, as we did on the Ross ditch, we weren't as invasive as we could have been. Is that an option to like only work in 25 feet, not 75 feet?
I think that's what, if I may, I think that's what Dale was saying. He's unsure because he was waiting on the pipeline to be marked so that he could go out and do his survey work. And so that's why I coordinated with both of them, and I put myself up to be the middle person on this to kind of help on both sides and coordinate. But Dale hasn't been able to do that field work
Yeah, I
just
do too.
yet.
So as Denny says, I think we're a little premature here. We need to allow
Absolutely.
Dale
For sure.
to continue.
That's my whole point. We need to go, he just told me this morning the pipeline was located. So we need to go survey the pipeline and the trees. He may be 100% right. Jack may be right. We may not be able to get there, but I don't know that
Right,
yet.
Right.
And so I just want the time and the opportunity to have, to do
absolutely.
that.
I
You
have
were
no
just
problem with
giving
that
us
either.
an update because you've
Because
been
it's on the
asked
list
to.
and it's been contentious and we were here last week. You gave us the direction to go do some homework.
And you've done it,
Not yet,
No.
some of it.
Working on
Yeah, we're working on it.
but you've communicated.
You just need some more
Which
time.
was a little difficult at first, but we finally were able to make contact.
So we did vote to continue this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Dale, you've got your continuance.
Yes.
Mike, still stay tuned in with them.
Okay. And, you know, I've had a rep out from the drainage board, so do I need a representative from the drainage board there also when this all goes down?
I'll let Dale do his work.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. Good call, Jack.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is MRP 157, which is Dale Cruz again.
Again, for the record, I'm Dale Cruz, Cruz Consulting, 7384 Business Center Drive in Avon. In this particular project, I'm actually here on behalf of the buyer of this property also. Neff Family's proposing to buy approximately 2.5 acres. 2.5 acres in this, right here, in this corner right here.
Would you all like to see where North Salem is compared to this?
I know where it is, but everyone else.
Come out a little bit so you can. So North Salem is here, so we're basically due north, a couple miles.
Woods.
Yeah. County line, Montgomery and Boone's right here, so we're at the very northeast corner. Go
Is
ahead.
that 334 right there? 232, yeah, there's
Yeah.
234 right there. So that's going up into Jamestown. So we're a little south and east of Jamestown. And our area of interest is here. And they would like to build a home on 2.5 acres they're purchasing. They recently installed a field tile for the perimeter drain outlet that runs across the frontage of the lot, runs over into this field and then down to County Road 9. Is it 900 or 950? 900 North, I think. Pull this up, please.
Out. Oh,
The road down here. Let's see that. Right there, 900 North. So the tile starts here, it runs through this field, was recently installed, it connects into an existing tile. It's right there. This is a cattle feed lot right here. And the gentleman that installed the tile the guy that installed the tile, this guy that owns the ground. And he didn't want to run a new tile through his cattle feed lot, so he attached to his existing tile there. And it outlets right there. And then we dye tested the tile to make sure that it worked. We're in 5,000 gallons of water in it a week ago, actually, last Monday. And it made it all the way to our outlet area. So we've got a good tile. So again, we're 2.5 acre lot right here. The proposal is for a 2.5 acre lot right here to build one house.
There's no regulated drain. The Spares Office is recommending preliminary and final approval. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Preliminary and final.
Absolutely. Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Searle? Mr. Gaston?
Looks like we have just a couple items to talk about. The William Botts and the John Green regulated drain. The hearings are scheduled for October 22nd at 8 a.m. That's our normal board meeting. We might want to have that meeting over in rooms 4 and 5 to allow a little bit more room in case we have anybody that wants to come in and talk about that. It's an informational meeting. We'll have it after our normal drainage board meeting. If that's okay with
Well,
you.
go ahead and schedule room 4 and 5 then.
Yeah.
It's already been scheduled for
Okay.
overflow, to have the meeting in here, but have that as a backup.
Oh,
for
okay,
additional.
like we did before.
In case we
So
get a,
is this a
That's fine.
maintenance hearing?
it is
or
actually a hearing to do, to cut trees down.
Oh.
Like, remember Liston?
Informational hearing?
Yeah, basically, and a hearing to, yes. But we didn't want to run into Liston again, so we're having the hearing for property owners who want to come in and either agree or disagree with us working on the bots in the John Green.
Well, as Phyllis just said, is this more of an informational meeting?
Yeah.
Because the word hearing has a real official.
It's actually a reconstruction hearing.
It's a reconstruction hearing?
For the, not for the plots, for the John Green it is, because we're upsizing that tile. So
Oh.
the John Green is a tile replacement. That is considered a reconstruction hearing at no cost to the property owners because it's being paid for by ARP funds.
Okay.
But it's a reconstruction technically because Banning Engineering requested that we upsize the tile.
And on the other one, a hearing would indicate that people could express their objections, but if we're doing maintenance on there and need to remove those chairs or trees, I don't see the point.
Well,
Information, you know, we're gonna do this, it's something different.
Right.
the,
Based on the Liston project, the board had suggested we do an informational meeting to inform property owners in person in a public setting so that they can give their opinions either
So-
for or against.
actually, we won't be taking any action in that meeting. Is that right?
We're doing the reconstruction process. Is that the process we're
On
following?
one of the drains.
On John Green.
Except for the fact it's noted that there will be no assessment.
Yes, correct, John.
But we are doing this statutory reconstruction process.
Yes.
Because we have to.
So that's a hearing.
The hearing, you're saying, Tiffany, is on the John Green. It's not really a hearing on the bats.
So you
Is
can't
that
really do
correct?
them at the same time, can you?
We're gonna do it at the same time,
But, okay, but
yes.
technically, we're gonna have informational meeting on the bots and a hearing on the John Green.
We're just gonna tell the people on the bots that we're going to do work and the trees
And we
need to
can
be
hear from them, yes.
correct.
Now, will there be a hearing scheduled later then for the bots? Is that the,
That's up to the board.
okay,
Why would you if you have to do that in order to maintain the drain?
well, because the informational meeting, like we had at Liston, there was no vote taken. It was just informational. And that's what I'm hoping that we'll do.
That's what the drainage board
Yes,
requested to
we
do.
need to be able to inform them before we have the hearing.
Yes.
Because it gets too rigid in there when you have a hearing.
We're just trying to follow your direction.
Okay, thank you.
How are you gonna notify these people?
We've already sent out, we sent it certified and sent it regular mail.
The board requested us to do so.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Yes, certify, I know there's some expense there, but at least the people, we have some record of.
What you want.
were
Some
they
of them
informed.
have still not been delivered. So we've actually sent them twice certified because the first round, 13 of them never showed delivered. So I went to the post office myself paid an additional $125 to resend those 13 certified again. And we still have 7 that have not delivered. So
You're
just so you
taking the
know.
We can
appropriate,
prove that they didn't pick it up.
taking the appropriate
That's
steps.
fine.
Yeah, that's
Gary
right.
has something.
I'm sorry, I just want to bring up this certified letter thing again because apparently the service that we use, DMS,
I have no idea.
okay, they don't track the certified letters from the time they leave this building until the time they actually enter the US Postal Service. So we've got 7, right now we have, at one point we had 18. Now we have 7 letters that we can't account for. They're somewhere in DMS's system and they don't know where they are.
Well, that's true and untrue. The 7 that is still not tracking is from the ones that I took personally to the post office. It's not through our service here.
Okay.
So there are some kinks that probably need worked out with that whole system. That's probably not this meeting to have that discussion. But just so you know, that's where we're at.
Okay.
We've sent the
It
letters.
sounds like you took the extra step.
Yes, we did.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, Dave, keep going.
Yeah, on the drain maintenance suspension list, Prestwick needs to be added to the list of drains to bring them back online
Okay.
because we have a lot of work to do in Prestwick. There's one major project that is gonna cost a lot of work. And so, you have anything you wanna add?
It's actually to keep that one suspended again. We were gonna bring that one back on for next year, but we still have not been able to get quotes for that major project. We're having a hard time finding companies to work in that very small easement, so for now, the way the code reads, we have to suspend it again for 1 more year until we have those amounts to meet that 4 times the amount.
How much
Ignore what I
money-
just said.
How much money is in that account now, you know?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Drain maintenance
Um,
on the computer, sir.
Well, I don't think I can get into,
Nonetheless,
mine.
because of the time frame, and I'm working with the auditor's office, and we have to send our import sheets up for assessments for next year, so we don't have the legal time to be able to turn these back on. So we do need to keep it suspended for another year. It's been suspended previously.
Well, is there a time, is it time sensitive to get the work done, or can we postpone the work till we get some money in there?
We can postpone it. There's money in
give me a
there.
second and I'll
It's
tell you
just,
how much.
it's probably
we got.
going to deplete the funds.
Okay,
That's why we need to turn it back on, but we've not met the legal deadlines for that for this year.
Prestwick has 200,000, basically.
so we'll just wait to hear.
That will teach me for not communicating with my chief deputy before we get to the drainage board meeting.
Sir, we need to take action in order to approve the corrected list.
Okay,
To add Prestwick back on.
yes, Chair will entertain a motion to add Prestwick back on.
So moved.
Second?
And moving and second, those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There are none opposed, motion carried.
Is that gonna fix the golf course?
No. No,
Tiffany, do you have a recommendation?
sorry.
Okay, for the Oscar Higgins, estimates that we got, I recommend going with Marine Excavating with $46,500.
You heard the recommendation, Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moving and second, is there further discussion? Those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, none opposed, motion carries.
And
David.
just so you guys know, this is what will be on the commissioner's.
I was just gonna ask that.
Yes, so I will be in here just
Okay,
to
I
ask
saw
for
you.
that
I
to
saw
go
you.
on to the council.
Yeah. Okay, Dave and Tiffany, you have anything else?
I have one last thing quickly. I know Dave's already talked about the bots and the John Green. Mr. Starkey is here. I don't know if he wants to speak. He had submitted an official letter
we're gonna, in doing, wishes to be heard, we're gonna recognize
Okay.
anybody that wants.
So I just wanted to let the board know that Mike and I have discussed this. Again, this is a project that the drainage board directed me to oversee. So I told Mike, I can't say whether or not we're going to do something, that's up to the board. I fully support both sides, so I just wanted you to know that.
Unless someone else has, we're good, ready to, wishes to be heard.
Have Mike take the floor.
Mike Starkey, 9225 East, County Road 700 North. You have my official letter in hand about my objection about cleaning the trees out. Just want to let you know that. Tiffany, you informed one of my partners Friday that we only had 5 minutes to say anything, not anybody else. I just respectfully asked if we can have, several partners will be there, which is involved with this water monitoring project. Just to let them know that if they can inform you what this project's about. Also, the press will be there. They've been also informed about this. There's good press releases about this, not only locally, but nationally, internationally.
About your monitoring system.
About the monitoring
Yeah,
system,
yeah.
the water monitoring project.
Right.
That's correct. So I just want you to be aware that they will be here also. There's been some very positive results. But I just want to, also this could be, if it goes against them, you taking the trees out, it's going to be some very negative press about this. So as an FYI, not only locally, but pretty much statewide. That's all I want to say. We'll see you on the 22nd. But anyway, I just officially gave you the letter of objection.
Thanks for the
It'll
notification.
totally be up to you all if you want to pursue this project or not.
Well, of the magnitude of it, you know, depends on, it's gotta have, that's why we have a hearing.
Is
Or
there going to
information.
be enough time on the 22nd? Because we have to be mindful of a 9 o'clock commissioners.
Yes, we do. Okay,
I think that's why we put time limits on people speaking. In the
It's up to
past,
you
that's
all.
what we've done, that's up to the board.
You can
Well-
reschedule an informational meeting. It's up to you.
okay, Greg, could we, if it turns into there are more people with concerns that aren't redundant, can we have, say, we will continue the informational meeting at another time?
You can do that, or you can go all day.
Well, what we're gonna run into, the commission meeting beginning at 9 o'clock.
Start early. Just
Well, we could.
do it, I mean, you can always be later, you can't be earlier.
Say again?
You can always be later, you can't be earlier. If your ditch board goes over, the commission meeting will just be pushed back.
Sure. Denny just made it, what's the board's opinion if we started the meeting at 7:30?
I've already sent
We
the
have,
notices out for 8 o'clock.
Say again?
The notices were sent out
Oh,
for 8 o'clock, so
okay.
And we have solid waste at 7 o'clock on that day.
It's that time of year.
Well, if we have to continue, if people are still wanting to be heard, we can just continue the.
And each one of these people are doing something a little bit different too, so I don't think there's too much redundancy in any of these people who want to speak.
Well, we'll hear them and see where it goes.
Yep.
Anyone else with wishes to be heard? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Anybody, any of the board members have anything to bring before the board? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moving second, those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed, motion carries.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, sir.
So say I just never did.
No. Well,
Not south of
if you would stand and join me in the pledge to the flag, and if you care to, a brief prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father, we thank you for this day you've given us. We thank you for the privilege of serving the people of Hendricks County. Lord, we pray that you will be with the men and women in uniform and the people who are in the midst of war. Give them peace and comfort. We ask that you bring our men and women home in your time. Be with us today as we make decisions. We pray that the things that we say and do will be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I'd like to remind you all that we have enhanced microphones and that sometimes the discussion from the audience can be heard, and we are being taped for YouTube, so just a word of caution. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the September 10th and September the 24th meetings.
Move approval.
Second?
You're all caught up. Is there any comment?
None?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next item is the approval of claims.
Move approval.
Second?
Any questions or comments about the claims? They were sent to us electronically last
None?
Thursday or Friday. All those in favor
Aye.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Have the claim sheet, so Nancy usually brings it down. You'll sign it, you approve it. The next item is unfinished business, and that would be Aaron with proposed amendments to the employee manual as requested by the county council.
Good morning, the county council has made a request to update two policies. One is for vehicles and the other is for time clocks. By adopting the time clock policy, this is going to address several issues. The first one would be accountability. A couple years ago, Red Envelope, they did a survey from all of our employees asking them what a couple of their top beliefs are that they need here at Hendricks County. And one of the top four was accountability. So this would address that. It lessens the issue of possible ghost employment. I have viewed cameras because I've received several complaints from employees, so I will review the cameras at various buildings. I can see where people will clock in and within 10 to 15 minutes, then they're entering the building. So, yeah, so that is an issue. Of course, employees will not get paid to drive to work. Possible insurance liability if a wreck occurs, which we have had a couple wrecks over the last couple of years, trying to determine were they on the clock, were they not on the clock. So we've had that issue. Employee practices that everybody should be treated the same. Of course, that's always your best defense for your county, is everybody being treated same or equal. And then, of course, good stewards of taxpayer dollars. How did we get here? Because I received several complaints. Actually sitting behind somebody at McDonald's that was already clocked in when I came to work, I saw and checked the time clock and they were already clocked in while they were sitting at McDonald's and running right stuff audits. Since this was addressed, I can tell you at the last commissioners meeting when we very first brought this before you guys, I've had several people thank me county employees who are also taxpayers that have thanked me for bringing this issue to your attention and to the council's attention. I've also heard from department heads who have said, hey, this isn't even an issue in our department, and we don't understand why this is even an issue in other departments, and people are having problems. There are not long lines at the clocks. Typically, if I'm walking down or walking in, I'm talking the auditor's office, I'm usually walking with them, or recorder's office. It doesn't take us any time to get through the building, whether in or out the building. And then, of course, last time when we brought this before you, Nikki said that there was a compromise, was to put some on the top floor because of getting people upstairs. I believe it was Nikki or Dawn. But I talked to Eric Wathen, and he said that the council would be more than happy to pay for having some time clocks put upstairs, as well as putting one down here at the southeast entrance. I talked to Doug. Doug said that he also has funding for this. And then we have a couple other locations that don't have them. And they can actually put them right in, plug them in, and mount them up on the wall. So the cost for that's roughly around $2,500 just for the clock itself. And Doug said he has plenty of, yes, and Doug said he has plenty of funding for that. Catherine said that they don't have an issue of this over at the courthouse, so she said they're good with time clocks. So just asking for your approval.
Okay, thank you. You've heard Aaron's request, and we heard it at the council meeting. Do we want to vote on these separately? There's the one that requires employees to use county-issued cars if they're available, rather than use their personal car and put in mileage. Do we want to do these separate?
It's okay.
You're the president.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay. Are there any questions about the amendment requiring employees to use the county-issued cars if they're available?
I'll move to follow that
Okay.
And I'll
policy.
second.
It would be inserted on page 21 of the employee manual. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. The next one is what Aaron just spent quite a bit of time on, and I know that we had advertised that. We tabled it because several people were going to be away. They've had the opportunity to express their comments to Todd and to Aaron. It's been, what, a month now?
Yeah, roughly.
So, you have the proposed amendment in front of you. Todd addressed a couple of things that could be added in his report. I think maybe we should consider the adding the hourly employees. And I think the compromise of adding the time clocks and the cooperation between IT and the council to pay for those is good. I think that would help the situation. Open for comments.
We've been talking about this, looked at it for quite a while, a lot of discussion. Appreciate Aaron's remarks to us and Todd's comments as well. I would agree with where we are and what's been said, both by Aaron, and I also agree with Todd's comments regarding the hourly employees, yes. I think with that revision and the ones that are in the proposed revision to us, understanding what Doug has said to us about the placement of some additional clocks and so on, I would move that we approve the amendment.
Second.
Any additional comments?
No.
All those in favor of the motion as presented with the insertion of hourly employees signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Is there any other old business that didn't get on the agenda?
Yes, excuse me, Madam President, I would like to bring back before us the matter that was brought by Tim Dombrowski and the Planning and Building Committee at our last meeting. And that deals with the ZA 517 /24 Brian Motter situation out in the new Winchester area. And in speaking with our legal counsel, he said that I can bring this forward today and we can actually vote on it again today. And it would not have to go back to the Plan Commission. So I would move that we accept the recommendation of the Plan Commission that was given to us at our last meeting, which that recommendation was
Denial.
denial of this. Thank you. I was looking for the exact wording there. The commission recommends denial. Plan Commission recommends denial of this request for a zoning map amendment at their September 10th, 24 meeting. So I would move we accept that recommendation and deny this.
And that was a 6-1.
6-1 vote.
And because of that, it would not be sent back to the Plan Commission tonight.
Correct.
We need, if this passes, we need a copy of that. We already assigned a number to it, so we need it back to sign. I will second the motion. Are there any comments?
Madam President, I respectfully disagree in the fact that the stipulations that the petitioner, the concessions they made, I think just out of fairness to how the vote, I don't know what the vote would be at the Plan Commission level, but those concessions, it is so rigid in the Plan Commission that they're not able to have a real dialogue like we can have. And I just think the Plan Commission should be able to hear those. And are they gonna be able to bring back with the concessions? Will they be able to bring back?
Tim, would you come forward, please? I think they can reapply, Bob.
They can, okay. All right,
And
that's what I'm asking.
Because I think this is the second time it's been heard.
Yeah,
But that would be the fair thing to the remonstrators and also the Plan Commission.
And the
That is correct, that they could reapply and add those conditions in 6 months, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, the rules are, if it's significantly changed, they can reapply. And I want you to understand, zoning petitions are indefinite. There's no limit on how many someone can request over their lifetime. I mean, there's no, it's a legislative act. They can ask as many times as they have the stamina for. If it's the exact same petition, it's 6-month time limit. If it's substantially changed, they can apply tomorrow.
And I might add,
Did everybody hear that?
the, when we had the windmill issue, some of the, well, at least one of the proponents, one of the farmers, told me he was looking for this to see some tax relief. And in this case, their tax burden is heavy and they need a way to create a different revenue stream. I just spoke with a guy that owns 40 acres in Union Township, and he collects $9,300 in cash rent on the land, and his taxes are $7,300. That's burdensome. And I just think the Plan Commission, if they vote, they may vote the same way they did previously, but they need to hear the concessions. So
And they also need to hear the remonstrators.
they can hear,
again, so-
absolutely.
So that, to me, that is the fair thing. So we have a motion on the floor and a second. Do you have any further comments, Greg?
Madam President, given the fact that they can reapply, I will concede.
And with what Tim said to us, if there's substantial change,
Yes.
they can reapply tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it's the same application project, then they have to wait 6 months.
Okay. Okay, that's fair.
With that comment, would you agree that those concessions constitute a substantial change in the
Absolutely,
application?
for me.
I wouldn't, but
I would,
Because I have to make a determination.
I would let Plan Commission make that. Is that up to us
That's
or
fair.
Plan Commission? I think it's
It's
up
up
to
to
Plan
me,
Commission.
but
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All those in favor of the motion to accept the Plan Commission's unfavorable recommendation on this rezone signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now, I have heard from some demonstrators who plan to attend the Plan Commission meeting tonight. Could you
I'll do my best.
notify
Yeah,
them?
that would be people who
Yep.
plan to attend.
Yes. Yeah. And we need to be fair to all. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Any other unfinished business? That didn't get on the agenda. We'll move on then to new business, and we have Link, Hendricks County, and they have their quarterly claim.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Yep, just submitting our second quarter claim. Everything's been submitted to the auditor's office. They approved everything. Just going through the formalities now.
Okay. In that case, I would take a motion to approve the claim for the second quarter for Link, Hendricks County.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any questions?
None?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Seems like a cumbersome process for a very good service in the community. Keep doing it this way, but if that's all it takes, why, I guess that's what we do, so. But it's a great service, so.
It is.
Yep.
Next item is Leadership Hendricks County. We've had a request to extend the lease.
Good morning,
Hi.
Commissioners. Again, first of all, thank you for always supporting us and allowing us to use the fairgrounds for our offices, and we're asking today that you renew our lease.
Okay. Have you reviewed the lease? Do we have a copy?
It was submitted with my paperwork, but
That's okay.
I do remember it had a renewal in it.
Yes,
I do
and
remember that.
doesn't the renewal include a slight increase? in market value?
Fair market value.
and it did, you did a recommended $14 increase per month.
Okay, okay. So just as long as we all understand that.
How,
Yes.
I don't,
Madam President, wasn't there, did you have a phone issue out there about having enough phones and the right phones in the right?
We are fine now. There was, I think, prior to my position, but yes, there was, but
Okay.
it's fine now.
is this for a year, or, I don't remember.
It's 3 years.
3 years, okay, good. I'm fine.
You have my motion.
I'll second.
Any other questions?
None?
Thank you all.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Tiffany, you want some money?
Yes.
Some ARPA money?
Who doesn't?
He just wants our approval to spend the money we have.
Yes, I do. As you know, in Drainage Board, we had received some quotes. The original request was for $61,500. The quote we received was a lot lower than that. So I'm still gonna request that just in case there's anything that comes up during the project, but we may not need to use all of those funds.
Does this have to go before the ARPA committee?
No, it has to go before the council, so I'm hoping to do that at the next meeting if possible.
So our motion would be to send a favorable recommendation to the council for the allocation of the ARPA funds.
So moved.
And I'll second that. And the part of the reasoning was that the money is gonna come out of the interest that we have made
Okay.
off of the investment of the ARPA monies while we've had it. So it's really not the original, whatever you call it, corpus, is that the right word, Counselor? Whatever,
Original what?
never mind. Sounds like we're talking about the
The original
morgue or
grant
something.
Sounds like Greek.
All right.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Krista?
Morning.
Good morning.
I am here to introduce updates to our fee ordinance. There's some cleanup in there, but the majority of the change is due to our most recent approval of our septic ordinance. Holding tanks weren't allowed before by state law or ordinance, and now they are. So this is to address that. So we have the fees for the holding tank and an operating permit for those. And then there's a couple of other changes throughout. Like I said, it's mostly cleanup on changes in language that we've used over time.
Did I see where there's a reduction in death certificate?
So on the death certificate, there was a reduction if it's an amended death certificate. So sometimes if they apply, they pay the $15 and they found out there's an error, it's to like a second version, that's a corrected version. We did charge the 15, so on those corrections, we just reduced that.
I assume under item G, where it's a change of wording, and I'm not gonna say it, but that still deals with the same thing.
Absolutely, yes. Body modifications over time, it started out where it was just addressing tattoos and just the art of body modification has changed, evolved, so they refer to it as body modifications. I think in the future, we'll see it move to body art, so there's just a change in the language in the industry.
Kind of like the word body art better than body modification.
Yes, that's where future, I think our next ordinance that addresses that will probably say body art.
Okay,
But we wanted it to match our ordinance, so.
I would move approval of these updates.
I think we have to advertise for a public hearing.
I just talked to Greg and we don't see any fines or penalties in there. And he said without that, you can go ahead and approve it if you want to, but then it can't take effect until 30 days later, because then we have to advertise it to see if anyone comes forward. But we didn't see any in there. Do you know?
No, it's the fees that's really associated with permits is essentially, and services.
I can't imagine that anybody really going to object because it wasn't that substantial at all. So, yeah.
Cinda, could we have an ordinance number? You don't have them? So we could sign the ordinance at a later date.
Yes, we have to get one that's not that.
Yeah.
Okay,
What all I had submitted was with the red.
so I did have a motion from Denny to.
Yes, I have a question, please. So Krista, on number 2, reinspection fees, it says $50 may be imposed for each additional inspection. Is there any way to just have a $50 fee? Because, I mean, how many times do you have to go out there?
So I believe we usually, we do 2, it depends on what it's referring to.
Those are septics.
Yeah, which section are you under, I'm sorry?
Reinspection fees, number 2, red number 2, under B, on-site sewage disposal septic systems. It just seems to me that a $50.
I'm gonna call it, Kristen Leams, one of our septic, you may have heard Ginger Harrington retired.
Yes.
Kristen's gonna be
Yes.
promoted to that
Good morning.
position.
Morning.
So
This.
Yeah.
It just seems to me it may be user-friendly to just have a $50 reinspection fee. If you have to go one or two times, I don't agree with it. $50 every time. I don't agree with it.
I don't know in my 6 years of being here that we've ever charged it.
That you've ever charged it. Well,
In our other areas, we usually use the reinspection, like we'll go out once or twice. If they continue to have us come out, like we'll give them a list, you need to fix these things. They're not doing them. It's somewhat of an enforcement thing.
Yes, and some septic systems require I can go out and do one inspection and the whole thing's done. Other systems, I'm out there 5 or 6 times just because they're piecing it together based on weather conditions, the items that they have on site, so it just depends on who, what, when and where.
okay, doesn't the contractor just complete the system and then let you look at it?
No, not always, because sometimes their weather conditions are appropriate or not appropriate to put in portions of the system. So they may be putting in like right now, all the installers are putting in the trenches because it's dry. And then in a few months when it's wet, they'll go and put drains and tanks, so.
Well, I'm
It's just
going to be on the
weather dependent.
record that I respectfully disagree with your smearing theory.
That's okay.
I think it's fine with the way it's worded
I
personally.
agree.
So, sorry, Bob.
So you had made the motion,
I did.
Commissioner Dawes. Did you second the motion, Bob?
But I will.
He just did.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the fee ordinance for the Board of Health. And we'll have an ordinance number assigned later when we get the clean copy for us to sign. All those in favor of the motion to approve the fee ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Madam President, I went to Ginger's open house and I was not there a long time, but it was nice to see a lot of outside people that I assume were maybe contractors and stuff that came in to wish her the best, so that was good.
Thank you, Krista. Mr. Swally,
Good morning.
lots happening around here.
Well, we'll see how it all works out. So the first is the all-terrain proposal for the landscaping for out front and the islands. Pipe's been installed out front, so I'm ready to do the landscaping. Fall time is here, so it's getting close to time to plant the trees. The only thing I'm doing a little different is using stone instead of mulch. The mulch is a yearly expense where the stone is one and done. So that's sort of my plan for both locations, is to use river rock to make it where we don't have to do maintenance to it.
Spray it for weeds or whatever.
Correct, it's simple, we don't have a yearly fee that we pay for lots of mulch every year, so.
And mulch can present problems.
Correct.
It can attract rodents and that kind of thing.
Correct. The trees that were there were mature and got root bound, so the new trees are a flowering tree. They have a little bit of maintenance with them, but it shouldn't be too bad. I'm not a landscape person, so it's a lilac, ivory black, silk, I'm sorry. I looked it up, it's flowery, but that's all I really know about it.
Well, you see in the malls, like down at Perry Crossing, they have flowering shrubs and all.
Yes. So I think in there also I put the illustration of what the landscaping along the building would be. A lot lower, no invasive trees or anything. It's going to interfere with our drainage system that we put in. And there again, that will be river rock. And then come up to the grassy area along the walk. When I get approved, I'd like to let them know to get it installed.
Yes.
I would move approval
Second.
as presented to us.
Thank you.
I have a motion and a second, and I'm excited. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Your next item?
Pest control. Been dealing with this since the last cold front that we had, some pests. I went through our old, or the current pest control individual really wasn't getting a good response, and did some homework on seeing what extent that we were being provided for what we were paying, and really felt that it was time to look at some other method. This method will have preventive things outside the buildings to help and everything else, and it will include all 11 buildings that we have currently, and the old was only for 3 buildings. So will be a little bit of increase in the cost, but I believe the service and the results should be totally the benefit of all.
I think those devices that you mentioned are effective.
Yes.
I have even seen them in front of the Avon Kroger store. And I recognize them because I have them at my house. And so it sounds like a good plan to me. I think that the company you're looking at is reputable and
Right.
dependable.
Yes, they do the jail now, so their service has been well. I think from the response I've got through this process that we'll have good results. It is 1 year. I like to do that every time, to review it once a year and then move forward if that's what we decide. There was a couple changes.
Yes, at our request, they made a couple of changes. There's not an automatic renewal. And because of our processes, we can't pay normally till 30 days. So they marked out 15 and changed it to 30.
Yeah.
So whatever the original is, you need to initial by, one person needs to initial by those changes.
Where the arrows are.
Yeah,
they're
just,
on-
just like they did.
And I apologize, I believe you have to do that 11 times.
That's fine. I think she's the one that signed it.
I was gonna say, is it just me or is it?
We tried to do our best.
I would
Mila
move
Mila
approval.
catches me if I miss it.
Second.
Your move to approve the contract with Action Pest Control.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes, ma'am. Since I didn't bring up the really nice pre-printed graphic that I have showing this area, I'm gonna try to draw here. So this is for improvements down near 39 and 70. So this is 39, believe it or not, this is 70. Lowe's truck stops here, there's another truck stop here. Innovation Boulevard goes into the Sunbeam development over here, and this way into West Point. County Road 1000 South does this and this. So as we know, Sunbeam for a long time has been advocating some improvements here as they grow. West Point now is developing, so they need some improvements here. So in discussions with NDOT, because 39 is NDOT's road, we've been trying to get some participation from them recently, but we've been talking to them for a long time about what needs to happen here to, there's a signal here now, but what needs to happen to improve these intersections. So the gist of it is there needs to be a roundabout here. This entrance to Love's and 1000 South needs to be shifted north about 300 feet and a roundabout put in there, and that's gonna require a new entrance into the truck stop there, but that makes that work better. The existing location is in conflict with the function of the interchanges. It's a double reverse timer thing. So NDOT would feel better if that's moved about 300 feet north. So NDOT conceptually has signed off on doing this and this. Down here, as this Gateway Park is down here, that warehouse development is here. There's a developer that owns a lot of land over here and down to Keller Hill down here. And this is all to scale too, by the way. Measure it, I dare you.
So as part of this development, and they don't have anything there yet, but as part of that development, we're requiring them to realign Greencastle Road and come down in there to come in across from Gateway, because right now that's a terrible intersection right there. So working with NDOT again, that's gonna necessitate a roundabout right there and some lane improvements between there and the interchange. Some of those lane improvements were put in as part of an NDOT project. Some were put in as part of this Gateway development where they did some road frontage. But basically, there's gonna be a roundabout there and some additional travel lanes. So in our,
This one down at Keller
oh,
Hill.
yes, sorry. NDOT actually is funding a roundabout down at Keller Hill in 39, and that's funded 100% by NDOT. So that's on the books for 27, I think, 2027. So we had met with NDOT recently to talk about funding. We've been talking to the developers for some time about funding those. And the cost generally, I mean, in round numbers, is around $3 million a roundabout, plus the road improvements. So you've got more than that here with this road improvement, you've got more than that here with this road improvement, and the shift over here. Some of those costs need to be borne by the developers, but some of them, we've argued, are a regional benefit, and really maybe the cost should be shared between the developer and the county, and not how that's split up. We don't know for sure yet, but kind of in an effort to get this jump started, especially Commissioner Dawes has pushed to keep these talks going and get things moving. And it's been suggested, but the Sunbeam up here has been using A&F Engineering for several years to do some traffic analysis and talk to NDOT and come up with conceptual things that will work there. On the south side, Strategic Capital Partners, which owns the property on the east side of 39, they've been using Kimley Horn to do some of their preliminary work and design work, and they've come up with a conceptual design. So the discussion we've had is really to jumpstart this and keep things moving along. Somebody needs to step up and pay for some final design work, and it's been suggested maybe the county should be the one to take that role. So I think it's the most efficient way to move forward, because there already is a certain amount of upfront work done on both of these locations, on all these locations, survey, some environmental, but a lot of preliminary conceptual layout, things like that. There's a certain efficiency to using the engineers that are already working on these. So what I did is I called A&F Engineering, Steve Fairbox here. They've been doing a lot of work on the north side, and asked them to get us a fee proposal to do final design on these. And then Kimley Horn, which has been working with Strategic Capital to get us a cost for final design on that. So this is how that breaks down. This is, that's for the area north. There's 4 copies there. And then this is the fee for the area south. So the two, if you'll note, we've got 2 roundabouts on the north side and 1 on the south side. And the design cost for the north side is almost exactly double what it is on the south side. So I think we're in the right region. I reviewed the fees. I think they're reasonable. There's a couple of caveats there, though. If there is state funding, and in our meeting with the state, they didn't agree or disagree to participate yet. If there is state money, it would probably be federal money, and that would trigger some additional environmental concerns. So I asked both engineers to stick in a number for if it was federally funded and we had to do some environmental. So you'll note that fee is on there, and I've noted that it's if needed. We don't know for sure what that funding's gonna look like, so that may make some difference there. But like I indicated, there is some savings in doing it this way, because of the advanced work both companies have already done. The design cost is in the neighborhood of about 10% of what we think the construction cost is gonna be, so that's pretty realistic. We have not talked about a funding source for this yet, so I don't know what your thoughts are there. I think my suggestion to move forward is, if you are okay with these fee proposals, concept, that we move forward with seeking funding source from the council, and then sign an agreement with the firms to do the design. That would be my suggestion for moving forward. So we're talking pretty close to $1 million in design fees.
So are the developers helping also?
They're not committing anything yet either. And I've asked them for, one of the things the state asked us in our meeting with the state, Commissioner Dawes was there, was to find out what level of commitment the developers, what they want to do. And they're saying, well, what level's the state gonna do? And I'm saying, well, we don't know yet. So everybody's kind of waiting to see what the other parties are gonna put in. And I don't know how best to orchestrate that, those negotiations.
Madam President, and John, in some discussions I've had recently with Sunbeam, their folks, their corporate people from Florida are in town this week. And they are, part of what they're doing is looking at all their projects in Indiana, which are pretty much in central Indiana. But they're gonna spend quite a bit of time out there. So I think they are gonna go through the process of talking about some of that with the corporate folks out of Orlando. And we'll know more, but I think it's good to move ahead, and this will at least keep it going, because there is ongoing, with things kind of slowed down at the moment, it's not slowing down on these sites. This is moving ahead. And I think to show our good faith with them, we need to move ahead with this.
Well, there's a certain amount of time involved in the design, and no matter who pays for it, it's gotta be designed. So we can go ahead and get that out of the way as we're trying to figure out how the financing's gonna work.
And I'm sure if the developers at some point agree to throw in X amount of money, they can reimburse us.
Yeah, well, that'll be needed when we get to construction, because our
Well,
construction's gonna be
construction,
minor.
yes.
So we can talk about that if we want some to recoup some of these costs, or we want their contribution to go to construction.
Madam President, I don't have either one of these, I don't have a problem with. What I do want to know, though, have the farm guys been considered in this? Because these roundabouts, if they're not large enough, we'll have a ton of problems.
Well, they're gonna have to be pretty large, because you think about the volume of semi-traffic we have
Yes.
coming in and out of there. So they're gonna be plenty large for truck traffic. I'm not sure if we're talking about 2-lane roundabouts. Yes, okay, so they're gonna be 2-lane.
And will that inner curb just be minimal, so if a trailer comes up over there, we won't break a spring on the trailer?
It'd be a roll curve and then a truck.
Yes. Because, Ted Everett's gonna haul a lot of farm equipment through there, and then farmers are gonna use that a lot. So please consider that in your final design. And if you have to go talk to some of them, please do that. Because they're anxious already about the stuff on 40, and Liberty Township's facing a lot.
I think the critical design criteria here is being covered by accommodating the truck movement and making it a 2-lane roundabout. I think the farm equipment will be able to follow and use
Okay.
that. If we follow those design criteria, I think it will easily
Okay.
accommodate the farm equipment.
Well, but question, what, the controversial one there at 32 and 421, that they've modified once or twice?
I'm not familiar with that.
I'm familiar with
It's
that.
the,
Yeah.
my gosh, everybody in
It's
the
in Boone
state thinks
County.
that
It's in Boone County.
it's in Boone County.
I don't get up that far north very often.
Yeah.
One in Boone County.
Yes.
North on
Well, they
421.
modified it once because it was, there were too many accidents and it was too small.
I think it's still too small.
It is too small, Danny. It's
Yeah.
still too small.
Yeah.
For farm equipment, you can't get through there.
Yeah.
No,
So,
has a project on 421. I don't know if it incorporates that intersection.
so
I don't think it would be from my travels up there. So, yeah.
it is still too small. It is.
We'll make sure these are not.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, our truck volumes here are
Large.
very large.
Sure.
And all three of these, especially on the north side.
Sure. I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
Any further questions or comments?
Just that we'll work with, I guess, the council on figuring out
We need to talk
where the
about
money will come from.
what source
Yeah.
we want to use for funding, and I'll work on getting the designer. I would recommend, I'll wait till you vote. Shut up.
All those in favor of the motion to approve the funding for design for the roundabouts on 39, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
So I would recommend we talk about a funding source to go ask for additional from the council on appropriation from the council and then sign the design agreements. I'll go ahead and get the design agreements put together so they're ready, but I think we need to identify the funding source first.
Thanks, John.
Could I have a card from you for today, please?
This is Steve Fairbach, he's the owner of A&F. Done a lot of traffic engineering around the state, done a lot of traffic engineering for us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So I guess we'll wait on what NDOT's gonna fund and what the developers will fund.
Well,
That'll be on
that will be for construction.
Construction.
I think we need to move ahead with this
Okay,
while we have those conversations.
okay.
with the state.
Any other, new business that didn't get on the
Did
agenda?
we vote on that?
We did.
We did.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Did I say yes?
Yes. It passed, whether you said yes or not.
All right.
Okay. Nothing further? Comments from the floor? Hearing none. Oh,
Madam
Pastor
President,
Hart.
I would just like to remind everybody of the resolution that this board passed last time, the green light ordinance. And let the board know that I went to find green lights and couldn't find them at either of the two Walmarts I went to. But Amazon has them.
Amazon has everything.
But I just want to speak in support of our veterans and let the board know that my full support is behind that project.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. They're valuable to us. Any other comments from the floor? We'll move on then to elected officials. Sheriff? Dawn?
Yes, please. Respectfully, I just have a question of why is this not put on the department heads? The time clock thing. I appreciate you going to put time clocks upstairs. I appreciate that. But I don't guess I still quite fully understand why it's not the department heads' responsibility to handle their own office and their employees, hourly employees.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
You know, we have the employee manual that all employees have signed, and department heads and elected officials are to follow that manual that has been approved by the board of commissioners. Denny has a comment.
My response would be, it is. It is your responsibility as a department head, be it elected department head or a hired department head, whatever, to handle your employees that work under you. And we'll help any way we can. We're trying to do that, I think, through that policy. But you're the kind of the on-site enforcer with HR to see that that's done. I mean, when I worked where I worked for 40 years, and when I left, almost 2,000 employees, and we had time clocks, and it all flowed through departments, and those people were responsible for that. And it seemed to be pretty easy and not a lot of complications, so, yeah.
I mean, the time clock, I guess, I don't know how many you're gonna put on the top floor, but, I mean, I suppose, my office just doesn't have an issue
Good.
at all. But they have to be clocked in at 7:57 though also.
And I think, I don't know where Aaron went, but I think we're adding 2 time clocks on the 3rd floor.
Yes.
And 1 at the southeast entrance down here. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
By the ramp, awesome.
yes, so that'll help. And we appreciate the suggestion from one of your co-elected officials. So, any other comments from elected officials?
I wanna just get clarification. Since we have all agreed now to add these additional time clocks, I am assuming that this policy will not go into place until those time clocks are installed.
That's a good question, Nick.
That would make sense. You can't clock in on the clock that's not there.
Thank you.
So is that a yes?
Yes.
They will, okay, thank you.
And I don't know what the timeline is on getting those time clocks and.
That would be Doug.
I spoke with Right Stuff and they indicated that they could fill that order pretty quickly. It's looking at, we've got a couple of spares that we use anyway, we have just on the shelf in case one goes bad, so we'll use a couple of those in the interim. But we'll need a total of 5 additional for all the other locations. But the bigger thing is just going to get contractor in to get the wiring done at this building. Rest of the location, I was gonna mention this in my part, but I can do it now. Rest of them IT can take care of, we'll just make sure we mount them in locations where we can easily do the wiring. But in this building, because of where location, I think we're gonna put one on the top floor between the recorder and the auditor. We're gonna use those maintenance closets as kind of a pathway to get the wiring to. We'll put one right there, kind of in that area, and then one down by the treasurer, between the treasurer and the assessor, that other maintenance closet. And then the one in this corner here, the only reason we ever did it anyway is because it's an all block wall. So at that time, we didn't want raceway going outside, but we've put a camera out there, which our vendor just was able to cordial through that wall, so we'll do the same with the time clock. And there'll be some raceway that comes down, but we'll just make sure it's painted the same color. It's not very distracting. But I can't guarantee, I mean, Right Stuff builds these, or has these custom designed and built. I don't think they have an inventory of them because they're expensive. So, but last time we bought one for parks, I think it took about 10 days to get it. It's probably, hopefully by 1st of November, we'll have at least the ones in this building done.
Okay.
Right.
So let the record reflect that the policy will be effective as soon as the time clocks are installed. Any other comments from elected officials? We'll move on then to staff reports.
I won't draw any more pictures.
It was very good, actually.
Was it?
I think you did a good job, yeah. It might even be close to scale.
Probably not.
Could you use pink ink the next time?
Okay, all right, different color. I could use different color. We're applying for 3 NDOT grants right now for safety projects. They're called systemic safety projects, which are not necessarily location specific. And we're applying for 3 grants. One is to update some striping and refresh some striping that's wearing out, put some striping in places that doesn't have it yet that we won't be resurfacing in the next year or so. One is to replace some signs that have faded. If you recall back in 2014, we did a pretty comprehensive sign replacement in the county with some federal money. We have some of those now that have worn and need replaced. We have some new ones that are needed. And then the third one is to put up some guardrail at about, I don't know, half a dozen, 8 or 10 locations that we need to replace or add some guardrail. So these are 90-10, 90% federal, 10% local. And as part of those, we're doing it this week. I'm working with Jared Springman at the highway to get these applications in, but we need a signature of support from the commissioners that we will fund our share. The second page shows a cost summary. I put it on the second page because we're still messing with the estimates, but the total cost is right around $800,000, so our 10% is going to be around.
It's very necessary. Move for approval.
Yeah.
I'll second. $793,081.
Right, and our
And our part is $79,308.
Right. We're massaging those estimates, so that number may change slightly, but that's gonna be close. But I put in there that we would fund our share out of wheel tax or gas tax.
How,
Go ahead.
how soon would this work be done then?
This is a little different than most of the federal money we apply for because it's really short term. They want it to be for projects that are completed between now and 26. And these are pretty simple. We think we could get these out next year in 25. So they're pretty straightforward. We already have pretty good pricing on some of this stuff from on-call contract, our contract for striping right now. And you know, what our sign costs are, so we have a pretty good handle on what it's gonna cost. There's not a lot of design, not a lot of upfront to put these together and be ready to go to bid. Now, it has to go through the state, so that's gonna add unnecessary levels of complication, but it's still, for 90% funding, I think we can jump through those hoops. But yeah, this will be done fairly quickly.
John, on this is separate, I imagine. On the roads resurfacing that we've done already, some that aren't striped yet, will those still be striped this year?
Yeah, we have a contract currently with a company to come in and stripe roads that warranted that we paved this year. This is different. And those will be done yet this year, the ones that warranted. You know, after we seal them and wait a certain amount of time, we come in and stripe them.
I would move approval, sorry.
I think we already have a motion.
Oh, okay, I'll second.
Okay, and the motion is to approve the support for the funding for these signs. road signs.
Absolutely.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
My third item there is just an update on the paving. The community crossings paving projects are completed. Milestones started a second list of subdivision resurfacing. Fourth item, one of the two intersections we're working on improving, one of them is roundabout at 525 East and County Road 100 South. Avon has a planned annexation of that area that will encompass that intersection. At that point, the intersection would not be county's responsibility. I would suggest we go ahead and complete the design, working with Avon, but then turn it over to them following that for construction. We have it currently budgeted with a cost of about $2.5 million for next year, but it's going to be their intersection. I think we can turn it over to them. I've talked about that with their staff, and they agree with that approach. So that's just kind of for your information, to let you know that's coming. We'll keep moving ahead with design, but involve them now from here on out. Phyllis, your thoughts? You look like you had a thought on it.
No, well, I do have thoughts, but it is extremely busy. We face the same thing down at 625 and County Road 100 South. We started out with a four-way stop, and then we put a traffic signal in, which I'm guessing a roundabout down there wouldn't, and I think that's part of Avon now. I think 3 corners are Avon, but you know, Avon has shut down Dan Jones Road and there for a while, 625, so 525 is getting a lot of traffic.
That's why we're moving forward with that. The other intersection project is down at County Line in 267. We have one piece of right-of-way. We had one piece of right-of-way we had to purchase there from Harvard Hopkins. We bought that. We're working with some utility relocations right now that are going to take about 3 months. So do that in the spring. We were hoping to get that done this year because it's really not that involved, but we got to wait for utilities.
Very dangerous.
It is. Yeah, that one gives me nightmares.
So was there any consideration on 525 of letting Avon pay for the design? Part of the
We're
cost?
pretty far into it. We're probably, I'm gonna say 60-70% in on the design cost. It's up to you. This is just my suggestion. If you want to suggest that maybe they help pay for some of the design too to finish it out, that's up to you.
What do you recommend?
I don't know, you know. It seems like we design and then they control.
I know. Can they buy in whatever's left on the design?
They're gonna have the construction costs. They're gonna have about $2.5 million in construction.
Sure.
I can look and see what the status of the billing is on the side one.
Sure, there you go.
Sounds fair.
Plainfield started a project to improve a section of Orley Road, which is 600 South, and that little triangle south of 70. There's a bridge back in there called Bridge 227. It's been closed for several years and actually been removed for about a year. They're improving that road from not quite county line. There's a Pepsi warehouse over there south of 70. It doesn't quite go to that far, but The road in front of the Pepsi warehouse is improved to our County Road 1075, so it picks up there and goes east or west and includes a replacement of this bridge. So they're funding it. There's probably a TIF mechanism, but it is gonna be our bridge, so we're involved in the design. We were involved in the design and we're involved in the inspection and construction of that bridge. They had a pre-construction conference last week. So just wanna let you know about that. It's probably a bridge nobody's ever been across, at least not in a very,
And
very long
I'm
time.
just trying to figure out where it was.
1050 comes from the north and tees in, and the bridge was just east of that. I mean, right there at the intersection. It's pretty obscure. It's been closed for a long time. We actually designed a replacement for it in about 1997, and then decided there wasn't anything happening down there, and we didn't want to spend the money, so we've sat on it. And so Plainfield revived it and redesigned it here a couple years ago, and it's getting ready to replace it. There just hadn't been any activity there. It was constrained because of bat habitat on both sides. We talked a couple times about getting right away from the airport because they owned all that right away. And they were hamstrung by the bat restrictions. We couldn't even get right away. We needed to build it, so we just kind of walked away. But Plainfield, in the process of taking over all that area, has worked out some collective bat habitat agreements, and so they have more flexibility. And again, the other project we're working with them right now is Bridge 237 down on Stafford Road. Speaking of bats, they got ready to tear the bridge down last week and found some bats, but don't worry, they're not bad bats, they're good bats, and so we went in and took the bridge down. We
They're not the
verified
Indiana brown bat?
they weren't protected bats, so we shoot them all away.
Okay.
It was touch and go there for a while. I got a really interesting picture of a bat on my cell phone Saturday morning saying, "Good news." I said, "Okay, good."
So when is that expected to be completed?
On 237?
No, on Stafford Road.
That's what I mean.
Well, yeah.
Not till spring, because there's a road project there too that Plainfield's doing, so. Completion, I can't remember the calendar completion date, but I believe it's in the spring.
Okay, that's close enough.
And then Bridge 290 on Dan Jones Road, we had a progress meeting last week, gave them the notice to proceed. Just a note there, we talked about leaving that bridge open during traffic, but I said there may be some periodic closures. We're looking at a closure later this month to do a couple things to protect traffic while they're doing some construction very close to the travel lanes. So there's some work they need to do without traffic there. We have to leave access open one way or the other for the container trucks, but they can come in from the south, because that's the only entrance to the container yard, south of the bridge. So there's a couple options there, and the contractor's working that out with CSX. So they may flag them at the intersection of 36 to let just those trucks through, or they may route them down across 100 back up. But it's gonna be like a 2-week closure. It's not gonna be very long. But it's safer to do this and close it now and get this stuff out of the way than try to do some of these things under traffic. And at the same time, we're gonna take advantage of that and get on and do some patching on the bridge while it's closed. But then Superior hopefully will get started full blast after that. And then a reminder, we have an executive session after this meeting, talk about a couple right-of-way issues on 700 North. And then I guess, just referring to your action earlier on the clock-in policies, I'd like to see the policy, the final version of the policy. I'll need to discuss, I guess, probably how to handle a couple situations we have on the clock-in policy.
Read your email
Figure out how to work
and understand your.
I'm sure it can be worked out.
That's all I had, unless you had something else for me.
I had a question for you, but I think it'll wait in our next meeting. Yeah.
Is
So-
it at 11 or is it just right after this meeting?
It says 11.
It was at
Yeah,
11,
because we have
and we have
another meeting.
sewer board between.
Okay.
We might actually get sewer board started on time.
Okay.
Todd,
Several of my items have already been discussed as they were agenda items. A few remaining, I'll be happy to answer questions or discuss with you if you have any.
Do you have anything to say about it?
Goes to the Parks Department.
Yeah.
Talked to Ryan before the meeting. The application's about 70% complete. I need his assistance in completing the rest of it, so he's gonna send me some available times.
Doug?
I'm only kind of exhausted, so I mean, the only thing I'll add to that is as far as the funding for the time clocks. Council put a line in my budget several years ago when we upgraded the first time. It's just stayed in there because it's a food and beverage fund. So if I don't use it, it reverts back and they just reappropriate each year. So I've got plenty of money in there to take care of. I checked with Nancy to make sure there was no stipulations on what we could spend. It's not an equipment only, so I can do the electrical work as well. So we should be able to take care of all that. So like I said, I'll get it started and we'll get the process rolling, get the time clocks ordered and go from there.
Thank you.
The other item was just the hiccups with our phones last week was a mess. Never really truly, I mean, we've escalated to the highest level with our vendors. They're still working on trying to find what caused it and a solution, but right now, knock on wood or marble, it's working fine, so we'll keep our fingers crossed that it stays that way.
We like it when people say they've got plenty of money.
I know that doesn't happen too often.
No, it doesn't.
I'm sorry, can I ask one more question before we close this meeting? I just, for clarification.
We have one more staff report.
Okay, when we're done, I just wanted to make sure that I could try to get one more piece of clarification.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you have my staff report. If you have any questions, be more happy to answer any of those. On my staff reports in the future, you're probably gonna find a little bit more breakdown on each one of these construction jobs to try to bring you up to the budgets and different things that are going along with those. So I will have a little bit more detail.
It's fine.
I'd like to comment about the animal shelter. Thank you for doing that.
Well,
Jack, where's your change order?
I didn't have that, sir, because it was too late. So I'll have,
Do it under your staff report.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
okay, so I have that for my next staff report, if that is okay.
Next week,
Yes.
well, if you wanna do the change order, we can do it now, if you wanna do it.
Okay. Really have that.
Okay, if you, that's okay.
Um,
No, it's no worry, I just wanna make sure you.
Yes, so what, can I try to fill this in?
Well, the question is, there's some change orders. Jack wants to know whether or not he can sign those change orders. There's an increase in cost, and I said that to protect Jack, you guys should at least know about them or approve them or whatever your pleasure is, but, or give Jack authority to do so, but you want to protect Jack on these change orders.
So the change order in question is at the animal shelter.
Well, that was gonna be my question. Where was
Correct.
it?
So there was electrical confusion on the engineering of three-phase and single-phase of feeding that building. Because of that, we had to run three-phase to the building. Then there was a conflict with the easement, so then we had to bore under the parking lot. And then we had to add in a conductor. Don't get me wrong, that project's going very well. But that came to about $26,000. And that was my concern of changing that or signing that change order.
Probably be better.
That's where I'll be more detailed in my staff report from the future because I'm just gonna consistently keep you up to speed on all those projects, the financial side and everything else, because then we always have the wonderful coroner's office that is getting closer. And I apologize, sir, that I was gonna implement that in my next report, but that's sort of where I'm at on signing these change orders, so.
Can we give him the authority to sign that change order?
I think it'd probably be better if he presents it to us and we sign it. Do you agree, Gary?
Yeah, are you okay with that, Jack, on
Yes.
your schedule?
Yes.
What about setting a limit?
Well, we have talked, the sheriff brought this up a month ago about authorizing them to sign. And we do need to work on that with a limit.
Question, Madam President.
Bring, somebody bring that to us.
Question. So John, how do you handle those when on those big projects?
Typically, we see so many of them on these projects, so typically, if it's kind of on a case-by-case basis. So if it's not a really large amount, and or especially if it doesn't make us exceed budget or exceed our, or obviously if it makes us exceed our appropriation or the bid amount, then I would come back to you. A lot of times on the bridges, what happens is we shuffle around items in the project, and so we have some reductions and some additions, and it ends up being pretty close. If it's a, and I kind of just use my judgment on this, and maybe some guidelines would be helpful, but it's a really big item that I try to bring to you. But we have so many of them, I mean, weekly on bridges, and especially on the bigger projects. The bigger projects, like the NDOT projects, those are typically the federal aid projects like the Parkway. Those are 80-20 funded, and the change orders have to get, the contract's not with us, so I don't have the right to approve. I okay them, but ultimately the approval of those change orders is by NDOT. And if it's something, again, though, if it's something that's really big, it's gonna make a big impact on us, and we have to pay them some extra, I'll bring it.
Okay.
But it's kind of on a case-by-case basis, so maybe a guideline with a limit would be helpful. We may want to think about a dollar limit, but then also a percentage limit on contracts over a certain size, maybe, I don't know.
And the factor may be if you're still within the budget, I may be correct. Or I would think that'd be a consideration.
We're still within budget, it's just an increase to the bid contract, so.
Could you work on that for us?
Yeah, I already did.
Oh. We don't need it in writing?
Or we could,
I think Todd can.
Dan, did you have something you want to add to Jack's?
Yeah, I just wanted to share with you what the typical procedure is with other counties in this issue that you take under consideration. So normally, you approve a contract amount, call it $10 million. As long as the change order does not exceed the contract amount, there's a log that maintains what that change order is, and that gets presented to you in the report every month. But as long as it's under that contract amount, doesn't change the whole thing, then typically the commissioners don't seem to require to approve when they have somebody like Jack modern. So to me, that would be the criteria, and I think Greg's already expressed that same thought, that as long as that $26,000 doesn't increase what you appropriated for the project, and as long as Jack discloses that to you on a monthly basis on his report, that seems to create a lot, to take care of a lot of extra work for everybody. Just a thought.
Thank you.
Thank you. So since I didn't have that prepared, would I be able to present that to Mila and then get that approval signed for this one change order?
You guys want to approve it and then get it?
If you tell us what the amount is, we can go ahead and approve it, and you get it to Mila, and
It's just one signature.
one signature. I'll sign it.
I'll get her that document.
So is there a motion to approve the change order that Jack is referring to?
Yes.
I'll move. I'll second.
Whatever.
I'll pick one of you.
Yeah.
We'll both move and we'll both
Yeah,
second.
there you go.
And this is for the animal shelter.
Storage building at the animal shelter, yes.
I came over here yesterday and I saw it for the first time from New 36. So.
It's a very good project.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Question. The facility space study, how's that going?
So there's another meeting coming up, and I don't know if Dan can help with that.
I mean, we're moving ahead.
They're moving again, yes. I did get an email. There's a date, there's one other place that they have to visit and get some concerns and do that, and I believe that's the last step.
Okay.
There's one department yet to
Correct.
report back in, and then he's starting to put the charrette of what needs to, the recommendations need to be.
Okay.
I think we're on target for a mid-November completion.
And highway garage bidding?
Highway garage bidding is on target for January. At least the documents will be released right after the holidays. We should have another budget run done by the end of November, by around the 1st of December, to validate before we go to bid.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick reminder on that too, our annexation hearing with the town is the 16th of October.
And we don't need to be there, or I don't need to be there.
One of you might want to be there. I
Okay.
think it'd be a good idea.
When was it?
It's the 16th, the town council meeting on the 16th, yes.
Yeah, so what time? You know?
7, I believe,
Okay.
is the meeting time. I think it would be good to have a commissioner.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
well, I might or might not be available, so,
I'll plan to be
okay,
there.
all right. Well, that concludes our staff reports. Now, Nikki, you can,
Thank you. I apologize for jumping in at the end, but I thought of something else and I wanted to just make sure that I got that clarified as well. And so since we were not able to see what these, the new recommended rules are going
amendment
to-
for the policy, okay.
So this is about the time card one, and I know it's been kind of tweaked a little bit. My question is, for staff who are out in the field during lunchtime, they are still able to clock in and out for lunch using their phones?
I believe that,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that was
and
still
we
part of
can
the-
see that you get a copy of the amendment
Okay, that
that
would
we
be great.
approved.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you.
I think everybody can get it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can go out to all employees.
I know.
Commissioners?
I have something.
Okay.
Um,
It's not a storm.
That's, I don't know what.
No, it's not 11 on Friday.
It's an early, before 11 thing. So with John's nice drawing up there, anyway, I had a meeting this last week, and I just want to make sure it's on the record, with the Mill Creek School Corporation, the superintendent, and 2 board members, and myself were together, and I don't know how to say it. They are very concerned because of what they are aware of, with what's going on in not only what John drew, but in other parts of the Mill Creek School Corporation, that they're aware of continued growth and so on for their school. And so they are, and I saw this happen in Brownsburg, where they've got to try to keep ahead of expanding their buildings and so forth with the growth they're going to have in their school population and so on. So I tried to, my best, to outline to them what I was aware of. But, you know, that's anybody's guess. And that deals with not only what we're seeing happening and the potential of new employees that would be in that area in certain buildings that may live in the area then with children that go to that school. The Hinkie development up at Deer Creek and all of that, that may or may not have a huge impact on the school corporation, but it might, and so on. And then the whole situation with Liberty Township itself and the dollars and cents to provide what I would call public safety services for that area. And so I think we just have to keep that in mind as a county, as all of that keeps developing and what may or may not happen down in that part of the county. But the school corporation is, I'm glad they're thinking about it, and I'm glad they're trying to have a vision to keep tabs on it. But it has them concerned that they can't build fast enough to keep up with the numbers of new students in that area. And they're experiencing that right now. So I just wanted to.
Well, I'm guessing that that's not unique. You see
Right.
the building in Brownsburg and Avon and
Yeah.
throughout,
But
even Danville.
When Matt was commissioner, didn't we, all those, aren't they on 50/50 pass-through? Or not
The
on-
TIFs?
Yes,
TIFs are 50/50, yes, and we had for the public safety side of it, I'll call it fire and EMS, an amount that the developers were to give. But keep in mind, as I've thought through that in my mind, that's a one-time amount.
it is.
So, and we set it at, I'll call it $600,000 or $500,000. So if you think about Liberty Township and how that growth is going to occur, if there's a one-time amount that of money, that's fine. But as the, I'll call it fire and public safety services develop, it's gonna take more than that to keep it going, ongoing. An initial amount might buy some equipment. Is it gonna pay for all the additional staff as it becomes a non-volunteer service to a paid service and so on? So that's the dilemma that they're facing. And that area of the county is going, and I would say if you take John's beautiful drawing and you just expand it around the west side of the county and back north, clear up to North Salem, so on, as that side of the county grows, we the county people responsible for public safety, and especially the side of EMS and fire and so on, we're gonna have to look at a way to put something together to provide that to the public. And I'm not sure what that means exactly, but it is gonna happen. Volunteer will not get the job done.
Well, doesn't,
And more of it is not fire, it's more EMS and paramedics and that side of it as opposed to the fire
well,
side.
has Brad Butler, and now we're in October, I assume he's established a budget and a tax rate?
He has,
And
yes.
what, do you know what the tax rate is?
I don't, it's still, that Liberty Township is still the lowest tax rate,
Yeah.
I think, or close to it in the county, I would guess.
Well, are they paid, don't they have paid,
Some,
yeah,
some are, there
paramedics?
are some
Okay.
paid staff down there now, yes.
Okay.
It's not all volunteer, right. And Brad's been able to pull that off
Yeah, he
quite
has.
nicely.
Yeah, he has.
So I just throw that out to us,
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
that's all.
It's nice to see people out there lined up to vote.
Yeah.
Today is the first day, if you wanna vote before you leave this meeting. Good idea. I have nothing else.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Roll.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Nothing really new to report. We're still gathering everybody's input from, to resubmit that anti-degradation report for the plant at exit 59. It'll go to IDEM.
It's ready.
So, yeah, we're very close for resubmittal, so that's really the only.
Anything else?
Yeah, I would say two things. One is there's a, and I can't remember, I was just talking with Tim, whether it's Lennar or another home builder that's wanting to build, I'll add to John's handiwork.
Okay.
Our, let's see, 39 and 70, and there's a frontage road that goes like this.
Yep. That's
And
1,000.
And then we've got 37 acres that sits right here or something.
Is that road 0?
This road?
No, that's 39. That's 39.
Right.
To your
This
left.
This is south.
That's south? Oh,
He
okay.
drew it upside down.
Yeah, I drew it
I was
upside
gonna
down.
say, I always
All right.
was
Okay.
told that north is
I'm
up.
lost.
TA is there.
Okay, got it. Got it. All right,
Flip it around, nobody's gonna get.
Forget what I said.
Anyway, our lift station right now is back here and the plant's gonna be here.
Yes.
And
I gotta have north of.
a home builder is wanting to put homes here.
Yes.
Which we don't care. We've told them though that, hey, we're putting the plant here. And they've said, oh, can't you put the plant somewhere else? Can't you move it? We've got it positioned best we can position. I'm just letting you guys know. I don't know where this will.
Don't make any modifications for that developer.
No, we haven't. I'm just, if you get a call, Cochran owns this piece. We bought this from Cochran way back when. So he's wanting to cut the deal, and so anyway, so that's one thing. And then the other thing, and I'll correct my drawing here so that this is north now. And there's 39, 70, frontage road, county line road. There's data center projects that are looking here, and actually our county line would come here. So this would be Morgan County here. The proposition is, they're looking at that kind of property. So part in Hendricks County, part in Morgan County.
Who's looking at it?
Data center.
No.
Data centers.
Okay.
So, had several conversations. I think maybe they're the same ones that you've talked to in the past. Don't know.
Perhaps I don't know who you're talking to.
Don't know a name.
The
Don't know
the answer is yes.
But
Brian
again,
Bilger and
Right, Brian's
involved,
aware. I've talked to
so
Brian. I've talked
and
to
it's, the
Danny.
potential is a
Just
big project,
Right.
like $2 billion.
So ultimately, what will come is we'll have the politics with Morgan County, which you guys probably need to be aware of, because that'll be, and then the other part will be plant. So we'll need if this goes, we can get a commitment from them, whether it's via TIFs or however, we will need a commitment, but we can go ahead and expand that plant to accommodate that. It's good timing. So just stick that in the back of your head.
Okay. Back there.
Back to your, I do have one question for you or a suggestion, Jim. If there is a residential area proposed, it'll have to go through rezone. I don't know if there is a no remonstration clause or anything we can put against it from a county level for a wastewater plant adjoining your property.
Well, Tim's back there too. That's his baby, but he's aware.
We have situations in other parts of the state where wastewater plant came first, residential came around it, and now we are dealing with odor complaints from a Acton's wastewater plant and being sued. And if we can get ahead of it, avoid it, I guess that would be my recommendation to the district, that we find an avenue to see ahead for when the homeowner's gone, we're dealing with the residents, our customers.
Tim, did you hear the concern?
I don't see how a residential development makes sense there. It's not in our plan. So, I guess the cart's pretty far off the front of horse, but I don't know that there is a cart. It's just a horse.
Plus, it's gonna have to come to you for approval. You can put that on the plat, you can do whatever you want to. Have them require a no remonstrance as a part of the rezone. There's a number of things you can do.
But did I understand from Tim that residential's not a fit for that? Is that?
It's not in our plan.
It's not in our plan.
We don't need residential down there.
No, it's not in our plan.
Tell them that.
Okay.
We've communicated all that stuff. I just wanted you guys to be aware of all those moving pieces as you get into your conversations. Okay, that's all I got.
You have the financial status included here. Move on then to claims.
Hendricks Power, $1,236.99. Sir Walt Witham Young's, $450. Aqua Indiana, $1,712.68. IUPPS, $51.30. Town of Monrovia, $20,034.12. Move for approval.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Any other business? Wishes to be heard.
Seen emails, look like they're getting ready to file their stuff on your behalf.
Yeah, we can, on that whole deal, Greg, Aqua, us, we've all been rifling stuff back and forth, so yeah, I think we're getting close.
I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a section on the condemnations.
Yeah, I don't know whether Graham is gonna be here or not.
It's a crazy operation, better be.
On what? Our next meeting?
Yeah,
Oh.
I thought Graham's was on the email trail, but
I thought he was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not, I'm just checking.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Mr. Jim?
Have a good day.
This is how you're supposed to read maps?
That's what Greg and I were talking about. North is always
I
kind of.
knew what he was doing, but I'm like, you're doing it wrong. The engineers, I told him, give all the engineers the see on the map outside.
So that is still on up there.
Me too. North's gotta be out. Otherwise I can't get myself situated. And he screwed me up, so he drove it the other way. I had to get back and sink. He already got to to the other one. He was looking from here, but hey, look at the cell phone. Either way, he was wrong. Either way.
Works for you, you're done.
It's harder than I know. He doesn't work.
I know.
As long as.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know where Karen's at, I drove to, she went to Miami with all the kids to see Jose's family.
Oh, no, he went to Miami?
So I don't know if she's gonna get there.
I don't either. Well, you know, we've been down there. I came back Saturday night for these meetings, and Fred was staying until November the 7th. But our sons kind of got involved Sunday night, and one of them got him a ticket to come back. He got back last night, because they had mandatory evacuations close to us.
Tampa's going through, in Tampa, they could get Miami still pretty good on the backside, couldn't it?
It's gonna go all the way across.
It's not gonna cut north, it's gonna go straight across.
They are totally different.
It's not gonna cut north.